Power is with me.
It's been.
Welcome to Facing Time. I'm Jared, and today we're going to be talking about the current state the restaurant industry is in, possibly some things they could be doing to come out of this, the other end of this, in a stronger way, and some ways we can maybe focus our scrambled confinement minds into actionable next steps so we could try to reinvent ourselves and inspire ourselves to also come out of this in a more positive way. I'm excited because today's guest is my buddy David, but we call him Rev Ciancio. He is a senior marketing, brand, and digital strategist who helps technology companies and restaurants to acquire and retain customers. He has more than 20 years of experience in digital marketing and business development, specializing in hospitality marketing, content, local SEO, reputation management, and influencer marketing. Rev has led many clients to new levels of national and international success in the hospitality, financial services, and the entertainment sectors. He is also former agency owner and New York City bar owner. Now, Rev is an expert burger taster, so he claims, but you'll have to go to his Instagram and see that for yourself. And he is also at the forefront of sharing hospitality and marketing tips on his Instagram, Rev Ciancio, as well as his LinkedIn profile. Okay, guys, he also believes that pizza is his religion. Come on.
It's a true story, and I got to thank my bio writers, man. That is a great bio. And I thank you. Thank you for having me here. So I'm excited to talk to you today, Jared.
I am too. And let me just start off by saying you and your family are safe and sound and doing well during all this.
We are good, and as we record this, it's like a 60-degree day. I'm actually getting some FOMO looking at them out this window playing in the backyard. So yeah, we're good. And you as well?
Yes, thank you. I am so thankful for my floor-to-ceiling windows and how I'm able to just literally, I shifted my sofa to the other side of the apartment. So one, my apartment looks much bigger than it really is, but I also have the natural sunlight. So today's a good day.
Awesome. I was laughing, speaking of that, watching the Saturday Night Live from home this week. And like you could tell who lived in a crowded New York City apartment and who didn't based on the angle of the shots they took. Like clearly Kate McKinnon lives in a very whatever appropriately sized New York apartment because he only got these tiny, tight little angles. And I feel like everybody on that show like just cleaned out whatever space they needed to fit in the camera angle to make it look like the rest of their apartment was not a mess. Probably like the rest of us.
I love how you said Kate is in an appropriate size apartment. Yeah, so here we are in the middle of this crazy health crisis, and I'm so excited to finally be doing Facing Time, which is really just about, utilizing our most cherished, what we value most to us, time, right? And facing into the future so that way we could really just achieve what we set out for and tap into our limitless potential. And I've been talking to, as you know, more people who I consider to be thought leaders more now than ever, because I don't know about everyone watching, and I'm sure many agree, I need more inspiration and motivation now than ever. So I'm thankful to have this conversation. Every time I talk with you, I always pull something that leaves me a little more powerful afterwards. So I'm excited. And let's just start off with the restaurant industry, since you and I have that in common, right? This is where we're peers in many ways, and we talk about a lot of things going on. And I think it's interesting to just start with that. Where is the restaurant industry now? What's going on, Rev?
Cool. By the way, I would say all the same things about having conversations with you, so thank you. Where's the restaurant industry now? I mean, look, depending on your math, which I'm really bad at, we're 7 weeks into this here in the States, or in New York, New Jersey area where we are. 8 weeks, depending, 6, depending how you look at it, doesn't matter. I think at this point, operators should have, or hopefully have, figured out whatever operational changes they need to make to deal with like this takeout, curbside pickup, delivery model only, hopefully, right? And I personally believe that like if you haven't figured it out yet, I'm not the person to speak to, because I'm not going to convince you to change things you're not ready to change anyway. So hopefully everybody's figured out how to operationalize curbside pickup, takeout, delivery, and that piece. Where I think we're going, and where I think it's useful for restaurant operators to be thinking about, is like, now what, right? And not even now what, but like what's next what. And I think that the customer journey and the customer expectations will transform greatly. Because look, before this, we all had Uber on our phone and we've all ordered from Amazon. So our expectation of how the internet responds to buying things is dictated by those experiences. And while I don't think consumers expect like the Chinese restaurant in their town or the pizza shop around their house to operate just like Amazon, we still want a receipt immediately. We expect that you will ask us for a review. We expect that you're going to target us with another ad. Like, it's just, that is how it works. I think we also expect that if we have a problem or we reach out to leave a review, that you're going to reply, right? Because that's what Uber does. They handle customer service. That's what Seamless does. They have a customer service team. That's what Amazon does. And so on some level, our consumer expectation matches these very large companies, right? And so if you're a restaurant, you have to think about how are you going to match those consumer expectations? And so I would urge a restaurant operator to be thinking about what operational changes need to happen in the store, right, for the dining experience, and what sort of digital touch points do I need to acclimate myself to in handling a customer. I actually did the math last night in the new normal, and for those of you watching this, not listening, you just see the air quotes there. I think that there is between 25 and 30 digital touch points in a single transaction with a restaurant customer.
Now, you did say you're bad at math, so did you double check this? I just want to make sure.
I did. I can figure out how to count to 30, right? It's 2 of these and then my toes. So I can do that number. But from somebody who, they do a search online for pizza near me, to looking at your hours of operation, to reading your reviews. And then if I decide I do want to transact with your business, then I'm going to call a ride share, get directions, or place an order, get on a wait list, reserve a table. Like, right there alone, just that is 10 digital touch points, 10, right? Before you even know my name, before I'm even in your restaurant, I've touched your brand 10 times digitally. Now, if I come in, right, or I place a delivery order, how many more digital touch points are there, right? Well, if I come in, I'm going to talk to your host or hostess or your server or somebody working at the counter. I'm going to place an order, and I'm not going to want to touch a menu. So you got to have contactless ordering or pay at table. Then you're going to send me a receipt. Then you're going to want to ask me afterwards how it went. Then I'm going to leave, or I've gotten the delivery at home. You're going to want to follow up with me and ask, did everything go okay? What if I then post a picture to Instagram? You're going to want to connect with that. If I leave you a review on Yelp, you're going to want to reply to that. Anyway, you start to add all that up, right? And we haven't even talked about like paid marketing, influencer marketing, or any of these other like third-party acquisition efforts, right? We're literally just talking about an organic journey. It's 25 to 30 digital touch points.
I don't know if I'm ever going to want to order food again. That sounds like so much work.
But that's how things, that's just the system we live in, right? I think if you're a restaurant operator, you're not thinking about how to have your brand experience in all of those touch points match with the experience you deliver when somebody's in your restaurant, you're going to lose out. And I think the really best operators, the really best restaurants will make sure that they don't see the experience in the store as being the only experience, right? A customer journey in the new normal is online, offline, online, right? And there's a number of places there that you can ensure the brand experience.
Well, also, restaurants need to start now, especially if they haven't started already. And that is going to be, in my anticipation, a big struggle for restaurants when they have the opportunity to open their front door again. First of all, restaurants will not be opening their front door they'll be opening up the front door to a new environment. And if they don't make change and they're opening their door to cater the old environment, there are going to be struggles that could be really catastrophic for that restaurant. So change does need to be made now. And it doesn't have to necessarily be great change. It could be something as simple as sharing on social media. Why should their guests want to come back in? Why should they feel comfortable? Why should they feel safe? Just something. I recently did a poll on Food and City, and I asked an open-ended question. What would make you feel comfortable and safe going back into a restaurant when your favorite restaurant, when they reopen again. And numerous people, actually, I think about 6 responses, I had the same response, was cashless payments.
Yeah, pay a table. Huge.
Yeah, I mean, Apple Pay. When you go to Europe, in some restaurants now, they're starting to bring the handheld POS system right to your table. And I think that is a very smart idea, because people don't even want to pay with cards now. You have the tapas cards, you have the payless options, Apple Pay, Google Pay, right? I think that's also something that it does. So it doesn't necessarily need to be these huge over the top changes, as long as it's something that shows progression and why people feel there are steps being taken to feel more comfortable and make more of a seamless option, which goes right back to your point with ordering food.
Yeah, I mean, out here in the burbs, in quarantine land, we've been ordering out or doing drive-through like once a week just to keep some sanity, and also because I really wanted some fried chicken.
I know, I'm following you. I'm actively following you on Instagram. I see your every move.
Yeah, I can't make fried chicken at home, so I need to have some fried chicken. Anyway, I hand them my card, and they hand it back to me, and I'm immediately already with like a wipe, and I wipe the card, and then I won't put the card back in my wallet. I stick it in my back pocket till I get home, and as soon as I get home, I wash my hands, and then I take the card out, and we actually have a desanitizer for cards and cell phones, and I put it in the machine, and then I wash my hands again, right? And then and they're like, oh my God, just don't have to take my card, right? Just remove that.
Yeah.
Make it so I can just pay ahead, and like, there's no exchange of cards. Just give me the bag.
There's very few times that I actually leave my building, and when I do use my phone, I use hand sanitizer, and I always clean my phone. And I think a lot of people don't realize, they're cleaning their hands, but their phone's in their pocket. They're just like, you do understand you're cleaning your hands, and now you're basically using your phone that is basically an it's an infectious disease phone. Like clean your phone too. I see that all the time. It drives me crazy.
Yeah, I agree. But I think just the pay at table or the contactless payment is just like, it's big, but it's like one thing, right? There's like 100 other things. And to your point, it does feel overwhelming, right? But if I'm a restaurant operator, I'm kind of thinking like, well, I need all of these, right? I want to deliver an incredible customer experience. So which is the one that is equal parts important and immediate, and just do those 1 or 2 first, and then chip away at the list. You know what I mean?
From my experience, almost 6 years with food, as a restaurant advisor, and you've been doing this for a lot longer than I have, so you've seen the real transformation. When I sort of came into this during the transformation obviously already begun, but I find that restaurant owners don't want to make changes that don't have an anticipation of immediate ROI. And one of the things with social media and how I explain social media marketing is, PR is those hard hits. That's great. It goes up, but then that exposure goes down. How do you back that up with social media marketing, influencer marketing, SEO? But just keeping it simple with social media marketing, that backs it up. So social media marketing is like a freight train, right? It takes a while to get going, but if you're doing it correctly, you start to see how impactful it is. If you're doing a good job, good luck getting that train to stop, because that thing is going, and that's how I equivalent sort of like social media marketing, which is in a way as well, restaurant owners should, in my opinion, should not necessarily focus on the immediate ROI, but how do you actually plan now so it builds the business stronger, and you see that, like the cashless payments, the POS system, carrying the little devices over to the table. Right now you may not see an actual, bump in revenue, but in 3 months from now, when people are actually talking about how comfortable they are going to your restaurant because you're doing that, that's priceless.
Yeah. Amen. I totally agree.
Let's talk about a recent poll I did on Food and City. And this is very interesting, actually. So I recently did a poll on Food and City, which I always do. So anybody watching this, you should always check it out, because we want to always know how you feel during these situations and everything going on. Okay, so it was 2 choices. It was either, do you feel let me just read it. Which feeling could you relate to most with reading in regards to our current situation at this very moment? And the two choices were either optimistic or anxiety. Okay? More people picked optimistic over anxiety. However, when I polled the same question with two different responses, it was anxiety or going strong. Anxiety won by a landslide. Now, optimistic or anxiety, people are feeling optimistic. Anxiety or going strong, anxiety. Which means there's somewhere in between, but being optimistic is not necessarily being super positive, right? You're optimistic. It's not like a sure sort of thing. So it sounds like, oh, it's slightly unknown. And then anxiety. What do we do to get ourselves through this? You know, if people are saying they're optimistic, but they have anxiety over going strong, I feel people, and I'm right there with everyone, people, we get a little stuck. You know, we can't, we're foggy.
Well, I mean, you know, so,
was that a really bad question? Did I?
No. I have a complicated answer, and I'm trying to think how to distill it. So I believe that fear is actually just the unknown, right? And our fear lives at the edge of transformation, right? And when fear and anxiety or worry and doubt like is strongest with us, on the other side of that is the transformation. That is that is like your lizard brain or whatever they call it. Like in the last moment, go, nah, you can't do this. But if you just get past that moment, there's strength and guidance and amazing things. And so I personally, I accept that fear, worry, and doubt exists, right? I accept that they are facts, but they are just facts, and the facts don't control me, right? So I make friends with fear. Like, okay, yep, fear, you're there, worry, you're there, your doubt there, but you're not stopping me, right? So to me, they coexist. And the amazing moment happens when you get past it. So everyone has anxiety, right? It's almost a leading question. And optimism is what helps you get past the anxiety. And when you do, there's some sort of glory on the other side, right? It's the same thing like a kid not wanting to try a piece of food that their parent knows they're going to love. And if they're like, if you just try it, you know you like it. And of course they eat it and they're like, oh my God, I love cream cheese. Like, it's the same thing. Like, it's the same exact thing.
But how do you get past the fear? I feel, and people that I talk to, and even look, Rev, for the first 2 weeks of confinement, I had nothing but fear, anxiety. I was probably a little depressed. I didn't know, I felt like I lost everything. I felt like I lost a lot of meaning in my life. And it took me a lot of soul searching and speaking with thought leaders like yourself and so many others to really help me get out of it. I always have, but more now than ever. But I found my way to get through fear and anxiety and feeling as if, you know, there's nothing left and I have to recreate. How do you get past? You said fear is something that you can control, basically. But how do you control that? How do you get past the fear so you can become someone who reinvents him or herself?
So I have a small practice I go through. First of all, you have to notice fear, right? You have to notice that you're noticing fear.
Recognition.
You have to heighten your awareness to anxiety. Like, you have to go, oh, I'm feeling anxious. What should I do? I'm feeling fear. What should I do? And in that moment, I stop. I take 1 to 3 small breaths, collect myself. By the way, your brain, when you take deep breaths, is actually, it's a neurological signal that you're in control and comfort. So there's a reason why people tell you to breathe, right? Chemically, it balances you. So I take a couple breaths. I remind myself that I'm connected to something greater, right? That it is just fear. It is just in the moment, and I can get past this. So I accept the truth. Then in that moment, I think, what's one thing I can do, right? To get me closer to where I want to be, right? And maybe I start with a reaffirmation statement. So I might just tell myself, you got this, right? Or like, oh, you're an incredible thought leader. Well, that's like an ego statement. But like, I do something to give myself reassurance. And then I think, what is one thing I could do that could get me closer to my goal or helps me think around this? It could be listening to your favorite song. It could be thinking about how to prioritize a project you're working on. It could be hugging somebody. Like it could be any sort of just thing that makes you feel good. And then you go, okay, maybe, all right.
There's some people that live alone right now.
All right, I live with my wife and kid. Yeah, I live with my wife and kid. I can get a hug. Okay, you could text your mom, I don't know, whatever. And anyway, what I'm saying is like a small little reaffirmation moment that just reminds you about something good, and then be like, and then at that point, I wish it away. Like I let it return to the universe. So like if I was anxious about like, oh, I really don't want to get COVID, like, okay, cool. Well, let me take a breath. Okay, I accept that COVID's there. It could happen, but also could not happen. And I'm going to lean towards could happen. I'm doing best safe practices to keep away from it. Okay, cool. And you know what? I'm going to go listen to my favorite song. And you know what? I don't care about you, COVID. And that's it. And we talk through that in about 5 minutes. I do it in like 10 seconds, right?
When do you usually do it? Is there usually a time first thing in the morning when you go to bed at night?
Well, I have lots of daily practices, but this practice is something I do in the moment. So when fear or anxiety or worry hits me, I got to notice it. I got to stop myself, and then I go through that process.
I love that, Rev. So I love that. I do that for myself, and I feel acknowledging the feelings and accepting it makes it better, because then you begin to understand why you feel that way. First of all, I listen to Whitney Houston's I Want to Dance with Someone every time. Right before I do this segment, while I was waiting for you, that's why it's always on mute, because I'm probably dancing behind the there. But that's my song.
For me, through COVID, it's been any song by 80s era Kiss. So
yeah, I'm definitely, I either do that or I play like Rolling Stones or like Dylan. But before I fill all my segments here for Facing Time, I always play Whitney Houston's I Want to Dance with Someone, and I'm just like, all right, I'm ready to do this.
Awesome.
This is out of my comfort zone.
Yeah, the whole family does it. So around our house, when we have a bad moment, we listen to Planet of Nachos by Perry Grip, which you'll have to Google later. So
Planet of Nachos. Okay, I will. Yeah, so fear, uncertainty, questioning myself, questioning my ability and my expertise is something that I go through. And look, why I created Facing Time is I want to share my conversations, my journey with other people in the hopes that if I can inspire and encourage just at least one person through this entire time to come out of this situation in more of a positive way, then I feel my job is done. That's why, I have no problem being open about this stuff. And it's, Food and City for me was my purpose in life. And it was the first thing that I feel I've created from literally nothing. And it's not even a physical item. It's an idea. It's a thought. It's selling who you are to create a brand, because it's old in the cloud. It's all digital, right? And quite frankly, I was very successful in many aspects. My happiness, my joy, my purpose in life, helping small businesses hire new staff because they're growing financially. And then in 24 hours, 90% of it just was gone. And the other 9% in probably 3 days after that. So I hope there's someone out there who can relate, because if there's anybody that had to go through all the emotions in 2 weeks, it's definitely something that, I've been through. So I think acknowledging and everything you said, as far as really acknowledging in the moment how you feel, and then being able to even say, okay, I am really scared right now because I don't know what I'm doing with this new project. I think I'm crazy for doing something that I'm way over my head. Well, why do you feel that way? And you can write it down and make a list so you understand why you have that feeling. And then you can almost justify why, your mind's getting away with you. Because then it stops you, right? It stops you from getting to the next level or where you want to go.
Yeah, what we resist persists, right? So if you suppress a feeling, all you're doing is making it worse, right? If you're afraid of something and by hiding from it, you're just letting it grow, right? So, my suggestion is figure out a way to deal with it. And if it's, Whitney Houston, God bless.
Hey, man. Sometimes I forget to put the shades up, the shades down. I'm just like, oh no. but yeah, I mean, we all go through it, right? So
100%.
that's why I always end everything I do with stay positive, because I really believe if you could just stay positive, it switches like the mind in just a different, it just spins differently. And if you could stay positive, you can really start to articulate whether it's your emotions or what you want to do next. Because I'm one of many, many people who are working on reinventing themselves right now. So
God bless, man. The best of us are.
is there anything that you're willing to share? Because I don't know, actually, I haven't asked you this question. I feel like a bad friend now. So I'll ask you now. Is there anything that you're doing, a new project or something that really is taking you out of your comfort zone, that you have to deal with these emotions currently and you're working through, that you could share?
Yeah, I mean, I'll give you a little bit of journey. So, like 2 weeks before they shut us all down, I actually got let go from my job. The company I work for got bought by another company, and in the acquisition transition, they made a bunch of positions redundant, including me and a bunch of other senior managers. So I went into this in an already like, what am I going to do scenario? And then all of a sudden, like, they turn off the universe, and it's like, now what am I going to do? So I've been dealing with that, right? Like, and sure, everybody is going through some version of that, I guess, unless you're the founder of Zoom, he's fine, or Bezos, right? The rest of us are going through that.
Or from SNL in that very comfortable apartment.
Yeah, exactly, 100%. So, I've been thinking about, well, what do I do with my career? And to be honest, I'm actually having an amazing growth moment. I went out there and said, you know what, I don't care. I'm going to go be the person I was going to be, and I'm going to do it regardless of who or how I'm getting paid. And I just started reaching out to the types of businesses that I like working with, or that I like helping, or that I know I can bring value to, and started offering to do things for free. Can I generate you some leads? How about I put a webinar together for you? How about I do this other thing? And of course, everybody said yes. And I ended up launching this new project called Hospitality Booster. And what it is it's thousands of dollars in free marketing tools and advertising for restaurants. I took a number of different technology companies that are trying to help restaurants out, that are offering like free subscriptions and free trials because of COVID. And rather than you as an operator having to go sign up for each one and then another, you just sign up through my portal, and you get access to like all of them at once, right? And you can pick and choose the ones you want. You take an onboarding call or a discovery call and go, oh yeah, online menu management, that sounds good. Oh, pay a table, I'm interested in that. Oh, AI-based Facebook advertising, that sounds cool. And you try them, and if you like them, then when the trial period's over, you figure out how to pay for it and move on. And if they weren't right for you, just that's okay, go away. But we created that, and we launched it 3 weeks ago. Yeah, literally 21 days ago. And there's 500 restaurants and 500 restaurant locations already in there. And we're talking about sending lists to like thousands of more. But like, I sat there an hour after I got left go, and they're like, oh, what am I going to do? That's fear, man. And I was like, what you're going to do? You're going to figure it out. And so I just tried something, and it's working. And I don't know how I'm going to get paid from that yet. But it's for sure proving to be a valuable service. And I think it's going to pay me in other ways. But that, that was the moment of fear. It was like, well, I can either choose to sit here and think like, oh, I'm going to be broke. How do I pay for mortgage and healthcare? And like, I have a family, and I could do all that stuff. Or I could set my mind on, I want to transform. What do I want to do? And I've let myself be guided with that thought, right? How do I make the best of this? Or what is it I want to be? And that's really what's helped me through it.
First of all, congratulations. 500 restaurants in 21 days.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
That's a success story. I mean, you created something after getting let go, and then 2 weeks later, all of this happens. And then you created a source that is right now free, and you have 500 restaurants on there, while the restaurant industry is, just being hit hard, very hard. So that's amazing.
Thank you.
Wow.
But I mean, yeah, so whatever comes into your life will come from whatever you put your attention on, right? So if you put your attention on worry, doubt, and fear, right, you're basically planting worry, doubt, and fear in your life garden and watering it, right? You're going to grow more worry, doubt, and fear. And so like, I'm not willing to plant that in my life garden. And I know I sound like Stuart Smalley here. But like, you know, I really believe like if you want success, you have to plant success. If you want transformation, you have to plant transformation. And so, I've just been focused. The question I ask myself at night is like, how do I grow tomorrow? How do I succeed this thing? Not how do I get out of debt? Because I'm planting more debt, right? So it's like a quick brain switch of how to think.
Okay. By the way, we'll move on to our mystery question in like 30 seconds because I try to keep these episodes to about 30 minutes. But Rev, this conversation for me, like I'm going to get off this. I'm telling you, anybody watching this, this is the same conversation I would have with you on the phone. I made some notes. I'm going to make more notes. And I hope people understand, like, these are really just sort of like everybody's a fly on the wall having a conversation. I mean, yeah, I get that. Like, I'm being a little more hyper and stuff like that because I don't want to be like watching concrete dry that doesn't dry and being boring. But this is fascinating. And it's funny. It's interesting because these are things that, I'm also aware of with like best practices or being aware, but hearing it and then hearing it from someone that like I respect, it sort of, it brings it back up again. You know what I mean? It keeps you aware of it. I love it. And then I did want to say, we were talking about reinventing. Yeah. So I think purpose of why for me, I do a project has changed. It used to be, I love what I do. I'll never gain at the sacrifice of others. I'll always be good to everyone that supports me and I support them. But I want to make money. And now, when I'm evaluating what my value on this planet is and what my worth is, without even realizing it, the financial aspect never even came across my mind. It was, who can I impact? Which is why I created Facing Time. I have no idea how I'm going to monetize this show. I don't know if I ever will, but it feels right and it makes me happy, right? And I think also being able to figure out what your next step is, but doing it for the right reason. I did Food and City. I never thought I'd make money. It wasn't for that. And then all of a sudden, it worked. But I think purpose behind what we do is also very important to understand, right?
Yeah. What grows is what you put your intention on. So if you intend to put good into the world, you're growing good, right? You're planting good in your life. I totally align with that. I think there's some practicality to executing ideas like that too, right? If you treat your side business like a hobby, it'll respond like a hobby, right? But if you treat your side hustle or your new idea like it's the greatest thing ever and you believe in it, it will respond like that way. Same thing.
Yeah, and I have an obsessed personality. I was up till 5 o'clock in the morning yesterday, which is why this confinement look, I wasn't afraid to show it off today. Because my week was turning.
I circumvent that issue by keeping a pile of hats right here. So,
okay, so really quick, I'm gonna call Rev out, and then we're gonna move to the mystery question, then we'll be done. If anybody sees it, I don't know where I've seen this, but I swear it's not like I'm a stalker. I snuck to his place and I opened up his closet. But if anybody sees his closet and all of his shirts hanging up in the closet, it's like the Truman Show. In the show, you open up the closet and it's like the same white dress shirt. That shirt that Rev is wearing right now is basically pressed perfectly from the dry cleaners, hanging on 20 hangers, all the same.
Yeah, actually there are two shirts, right? So this is the short sleeve version. And then there's a long sleeve version. So right now, because I'm at home and comfortable, I'm rocking the short sleeves only. But when we return and we start going to dinners again, the long sleeve version will return. So
you just don't like to wear color. You want the same shirt.
At a very different time in my life, I had a career transformation. And I went to go work in a totally different industry. And I looked at what everybody else was wearing, and it did not match what I was wearing. And man, this is a very different thought in my mind. I was like, oh, I need to dress like everybody else. You do not. Okay, you need to be you. But I went through a phase of like trying all these patterns and shirt styles and blah, blah, blah. And one day I was wearing an all black long sleeve collared dress shirt. And I was like, I wish I could feel this good every day. You can. So that was it. I was like, I'm wearing this shirt every day. I don't care.
So you just filled up your closet with the same shirt. It's hilarious. Maybe you did Instagram stories, or you've done, I remember seeing it somewhere. It's hilarious.
I talk about it randomly. It's a good like origin. I'm not a bot type story, right?
Well, my closet is an absolute disaster. So I've been so focused on work. I'm just like, all right. Anyway, okay. So mystery question. So we always end with a mystery question, which we don't know offhand. And I always say when we prep, please have your mystery question ready. And I did not, because I knew our conversation would be so great that I would think of something in the process. So you're the guest, so I will ask you, do you want to ask me the mystery question first, or should I ask you the mystery question?
You go.
I go. All right. What motivates you? And how do you stay motivated? How are you always smiling? How is it every time I talk to you, you always have this tone in your voice of, even if you're uncertain about something, you still have this positive energy. What keeps your system so positive and energetic and motivated? How do you do it?
That's like a whole other facing time, buddy. But I'll give you the most succinct answer I can. So I am motivated by happiness, right? And happiness to me can come in the form of a pepperoni pizza. It can also come in the form of a hug from my kid. 2 days ago, it came in the form of watching 7 movies in a row on a couch with my family. And so like, I'm always looking for what is that moment of happiness, and not like, I'm not looking for the moment. I just enjoy the moment. But the real answer here is I have an unbelievable intricate daily practice that I run through that helps me stay focused. So super quick, because it will take forever to go through it. But in the morning, the first thing I do is stretch, and I listen to a podcast from somebody that I think is a thought leader while I'm stretching. So like, I can't let my mind run wild. Like, I'm focusing the energy in a thought pattern I want. When I'm done with that, I have a note that I read myself every day of who I want to be and who I think I am and what's important about me. I read it every day from start to finish. And if I get distracted, I go back and I start over. When I'm done with that, I then write a list of 3 to 10 things that I want to be that day. Not what I want to do, what I want to be. And oftentimes the to-be list is actually a to-do list, but I don't write, update this thing. I write what I want the result from that thing to be instead of a to-do list item, right? So I know when I go to do the thing, I have already the goal in mind. At the end of the day, I take 10 minutes, sometimes 15, sometimes 5, and I write down 3 to 10 things that I'm proud of or grateful for. If I did something awesome that day, I write, accomplish this awesome thing. Or if I had a feeling that was great, I capture that moment. Then before I go to bed, I write down 2 to 3 things that I want to solve tomorrow. And so the last thing I do before I go to bed is thinking about the future. All of that together helps me keep on my straight and narrow.
Oh, Rev, I love that. You said something that really resonated with me. It's all incredible. You said something, you don't want to write down a to-do list, you write down the results. So it sounds, it's almost like, so you're not frustrating yourself with what you need to do to get there. You're focusing on where you want to be, and then you take the next steps that naturally with what you do on a daily basis.
As humans, if we know what we want the end result to be, the how will manifest itself, right?
Love that.
So if you think about the how, you'll never think about how to end it, right? You'll never think about where you're trying to get. I think about where I'm trying to get, and then I let the how manifest.
For some people doing what we're doing right now, look, producing, hosting a new show, the concept, the digital graphics, everything, it's just out of my comfort zone, right? But I didn't focus on, I thought, okay, I'm going to create a show. It's going to be called Facing Time. It's going to be about time, utilizing this and facing into the future. And it just felt right. And I just wrote it down. I'm like, okay, great. And I was like, awesome. Then I spoke to my favorite people like yourself. I'm like, will you do this? Will you help me? Yes. And then I'm thinking, oh shit, what do I do? How do I do this? How do I get there? But I didn't think about that. And if I did, I probably wouldn't be doing this right now. So I love it. All right. So we don't run too long. What is your mystery question for me?
Okay. I'm going to take it to a fun level because we've had like a really lot of high level babble here today, which I love, but let's end fun. If we could enter a COVID protection bubble, right? The coronavirus could not enter or exit. Where would we go eat?
Does it have to be specific, or can it be a food?
I was looking for a location. I want to dream a little.
Wow, you are okay. um, I'm going to say this because I truly love barbecue and I'm missing barbecue. And I know you love beer, so it's going to cater to your beer cravings and it's going to cater to my barbecue cravings. Morgan's Brooklyn Barbecue in Flatbush, Brooklyn. I will say I'm going to cheat, and that's the advantage of doing Zoom because you can't slap me for cheating. I would say also Bird Biscuit in Austin, Texas, because you haven't been there, and I know you'll love it just as much as I do. But if I had to pick one because I'm in Brooklyn, I would say Morgan's Brooklyn Barbecue.
I would love that. I miss barbecue too. And I've actually been to Morgan's. I think I told you this, but I've only been there after I had a, let's call it a marathon day of loving beer. And so I don't necessarily have a very accurate picture in my mind of how good it was. So I would love that.
So mark my words, when we get out of this and we can go to Morgan's, we're going to have to do another Facing Time segment. And we're going to do it on site. And we're going to eat barbecue and drink beer and try to talk intellectual while we're doing that.
I'm so down, man. So down.
Rev, I am so grateful for your support always, and doing this with me. And Facing Time is unknown and uncertain, and the fact that I have the opportunity to have my friends enter this world of Facing Time and inspiring me and hopefully others, I'm endlessly grateful to you, and I mean that.
Thank you, buddy. I'm equally grateful to you, and I appreciate being able to have this conversation. Thank you.
Thank you. So everybody, you've just joined Jared with Facing Time and Rev Ciancio, which I'm always worried about pronouncing his last name. So, by the way, his Instagram, RevCiancio. Go check it out. Everybody stay safe. And what do I always end with? Stay positive. We did it. Thank you so much, Rev.
Awesome. You're very welcome. That was a really fun conversation. Thank you.